The living room of the Carter family on the Upper West Side, New York, was decorated for Christmas. A large tree in the corner, lights twinkling, gifts underneath waiting to be opened. It was December 25th, 2 in the afternoon. The entire family was gathered after Christmas lunch, 15 people between parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and in the center of the room, on one knee, was Philip August Mason, 34 years old, CEO of Mason Tech, a software company worth $50 million. He wore an expensive suit even on Christmas Day, perfectly groomed hair, a Rolex shining on his wrist, and in his hands a blue velvet box with a 3-carat diamond ring that cost $30,000. Standing in front of him was Beatrice Carter, 28 years old, literature professor wearing a simple floral dress, brown hair loose on her shoulders, eyes wide with shock. Philip had just finished a long, elaborate speech about how Beatrice was the woman of his dreams, how he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her, how she completed him. And now, with the whole family watching, her mother crying, his father smiling proudly, cousins filming with their phones, he awaited an answer. "Marry me, B," he said, voice full of confidence. "Make me the happiest man in the world. Say yes." Before continuing with this emotional story, subscribe to the channel to always receive special stories like this one, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new videos. Beatrice looked at the ring. It was beautiful, perfect, exactly the type she would have chosen if someone had asked. 3 carats princess-cut platinum, more expensive than she would earn in 5 years as a teacher. She looked at Philip. Handsome, successful, kind most of the time. They had been dating for a year. He treated her well, took her to expensive dinners, bought her gifts, introduced her to his family, met her family. It was everything she was supposed to want, everything her mother had always told her to look for. A good man, stable, who can give you a comfortable life. But Beatrice looked at her own left hand, at the simple silver ring she wore on her ring finger, a ring she never took off, a ring Philip had asked about 1,000 times, and she had always changed the subject. And she said what she shouldn't have said. What would create a scene? What would destroy the perfect moment? No, absolute silence, as if someone had pressed the mute button on the universe. "Fouasses, what?" Philip asked, still on one knee, smile frozen on his face. "I can't marry you, I'm sorry. B, it's just nerves. Take a deep breath. It's not nerves. It's no. I can't. I shouldn't. I'm sorry." Beatrice's mother, Susan, rose from the armchair. "Beatrice, what are you doing?" "What I need to do, Mom." Philip stood up slowly, confusion turning to anger on his face. "You're telling me no in front of all your family on Christmas. I'm sorry, I know it's horrible, but I can't lie. I can't pretend." "Pretend what? I thought you loved me. I care for you. A lot. But what?" Beatrice touched the ring on her left hand unconsciously, and Philip saw it. Really saw it for the first time. "That ring," he said, voice low and dangerous. "You always wear that ring. On your engagement finger. And you always change the subject when I ask." "Philip, who gave it to you?" "Who? It doesn't matter." "It matters. I'm asking you to marry me and you're wearing another man's ring on your engagement finger? And you think it doesn't matter?" Susan approached Beatrice. "Honey, what ring is that? I never noticed it." It's complicated, Mom." "It's not complicated," Philip practically shouted. "It's simple. You're committed to someone else. You've been stringing me along for a year." "I'm not stringing you along. You never asked. We never seriously talked about this. Because I thought it was obvious. We've dated for a year. I introduced you to my parents. I talked about the future. I planned an elaborate proposal. And you've had another man's ring all this time." Beatrice's grandmother, Grandma Madeleine, 90 years old, voice weak but firm, spoke from the sofa. "Let the girl explain. She must have a good reason." "What reason could there be?" Philip threw the ring box onto the coffee table. It made a loud sound. "Either she's committed or she's not, and clearly she is." "I'm not committed," Beatrice said, tears beginning to fall. "Not in the way you think." "Then explain." "Because I'm losing my patience." Beatrice took a deep breath. She looked at her family, at Philip, at the ring on the table, and she decided to tell. "Finally, the ring was from my husband." Another silence, deeper, more shocking. "Your what?" Susan whispered. "My husband. I was married 5 years ago, for 2 years. You were married? Philip was incredulous. And you never mentioned it? I didn't know how, I didn't know when. It is painful. Painful. B, you made me waste a year, while you were holding on to an ex-husband's ring, wearing it on your engagement finger like what? A souvenir, a trophy. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain. Because I'm completely lost. Susan sat down, pale. Beatrice, why didn't you ever tell us? Tell him? Because I don't know how to talk about it without falling apart. Grandma Madeline tapped her cane on the floor. Then fall apart. It's better to fall apart and speak the truth than to hide and lie. Beatrice sat in the armchair, taking the ring off her finger for the first time in 5 years. She held it carefully, as if it were a fragile treasure. I met Luke when I was 20 in college. We were both literature majors. He was everything. Funny, intelligent, kind. We saw a future together. We got married when I was 22. He was 23. A simple wedding, no money, but with a lot of love. Philip was listening, standing, arms crossed, face red with anger, but also curiosity. 2 years. We had 2 perfect years. We lived in a tiny apartment in Washington Heights. He worked as a proofreader. I was already teaching. We barely had money for bills, but we were happy. Truly happy. What happened? Susan asked, her voice breaking. An accident. He was coming home from work on the bus when the driver lost control. The bus overturned. Luke was 25 when he died. And I was 24 when I became a widow. Tears flowed freely now. Years of dammed-up pain coming out at once. I couldn't take the ring off. I tried, 1,000 times. But every time I took it off, I felt like I was betraying him, forgetting him, really letting him go. So I put it back on, and never took it off again. Why didn't you tell me? Philip asked, anger giving way to something softer. Sadness, perhaps. Because when I met you, I was trying to move on. I was trying to live again. And talking about Luke was admitting that I never really moved on, that I was still stuck, that this ring was a shackle I put on myself. You still love him. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. And Beatrice couldn't lie. I will always love him. He was my first love, my true love, a love that was stolen from me. Then why did you agree to date me? Why let it get this far? Because I thought I could. I thought that with time I would learn to love you too. Differently maybe, but real. But today, when you knelt, when I saw the ring, when I saw the expectation on your face, I realized it's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to his memory. Philip picked up the box from the table, closed it, put it in his pocket. You're right, it's not fair. I deserve someone who chooses me completely, not someone who uses me to try to forget a ghost. I wasn't using you. You were. Maybe unintentionally, but you were. And I was a fool not to see the signs. The ring, the emotional distance, the way you never really talked about the future. I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Philip walked to the door, stopped, turned. I hope you find peace, B, because you deserve it. But you won't find it by holding on to the past. You have to let go. For real. Not for me, or for the next guy, but for you. And he left, the door closing softly behind him. The family remained silent. Then Susan began to cry. Why didn't you ever tell us? Why did you carry this alone for 5 years? Because you don't understand. Nobody understands. Everyone says move on. You're young. You'll find someone else. As if Luke was replaceable. As if his love could be forgotten just because he died. Nobody is saying to forget, Grandma Madeline said. But you also can't live in a shrine. You can't make your life stop because his stopped. I'm not making it stop. You are. For 5 years, since he died, your laugh changed. Your eyes lost their sparkle. You exist, but you don't live. The words hurt because they were true. I don't know how to let go. Then learn. Start by taking off the ring, really taking it off. Not just physically, but emotionally. Beatrice looked at the ring in her hand. Simple silver. It had cost $75, everything Luke could afford at the time, but it was more valuable than any diamond. What if I take it off and forget him? You won't forget. Love like that isn't forgotten. It just transforms. It becomes a beautiful memory instead of a constant pain. Beatrice put the ring in her pocket. She couldn't throw it away, but she also couldn't wear it anymore. What do I do now? Live, really live. Not for Philip or for any man, but for yourself, for Luke, because he wouldn't want to see you stuck like this. Christmas ended in awkward silence. The family tried to act normal, but everyone knew nothing was normal. When Beatrice returned to her own apartment, the same tiny apartment in Washington Heights where she lived with Luke, she went straight to the drawer where she kept his things. Photos, letters, clothes she never had the courage to donate. And for the first time in 5 years, she really looked at young Luke in the photos, 23 years old, wide smile, eyes full of life. Eyes that didn't know that 5 years later, they would be closed forever. I don't know how to let you go, she whispered to the photo. I don't know how to live without feeling like I'm betraying you. Obviously, there was no answer. But Beatrice picked up a letter, the last letter Luke wrote to her, a week before he died. He had a silly habit of writing love letters even though they lived together. For when you're sad, he said. Beatrice had opened it on the day of the funeral, read it once, put it away, never touched it again because it hurt too much. Now, she opened it again, hands trembling, and read, My B, if you're reading this, you're sad, or confused, or lost, and I want to remind you of a few things. First, you are incredible, not beautiful, though you are, not smart, though you are, but strong, stronger than you know. Second, our love is special. It's rare. It's the kind romance novels write about, and I'm lucky, so absurdly lucky, to have you. Third, if something happens to me, I know I'm being morbid, but listen, I want you to live, not exist. Live, laugh, dance, love again. Yes, again, because love is not finite. It doesn't run out. Your love for me doesn't prevent love for another. And if you're afraid that new love will erase our memory, know this. Nothing erases it. Nothing. Our memories are tattooed on your soul. But your soul has room for more tattoos, for new memories, for new happiness. So if you're reading this crying, I know you are, drama queen, stop. Wipe those tears and decide, will you live trapped in what was, or will you live open to what could be? I choose the second option for you, because I love you. And love wants the happiness of the person it loves, not martyrdom, always yours, but never your prison, Luke. Beatrice read it 3 times, crying, but a different cry, not pain, but liberation. Luke knew, even before he died, knew she would trap herself, and he tried to give her permission to be free. But before discovering if Beatrice can move forward, leave your like here on the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. What would you do in her place? Tell me which city you're watching from. Now let's continue. 2 days after Christmas, Beatrice did something she had been putting off for 5 years. She went to Luke's gravesite, the first time since the funeral. The cemetery was empty, cold. The simple headstone read only, Luke Carter, 1995-2020. Beloved husband and son. Beatrice sat on the grass beside it. Hi, she said, feeling silly talking to herself. It's been a while, 5 years, and you were right in the letter. I'm trapped, completely trapped. Silence. Just wind in the trees. A man asked me to marry him. Philip, a good guy, rich, stable, everything I should want, and I said no, in front of the whole family, because I realized I can't marry someone while I'm still married to you, emotionally speaking. A bird sang somewhere. So I came here, finally, to say goodbye, not to you, or to our memories, but to the pain, to the attachment, to the refusal to live because you can't live anymore. Beatrice took the ring from her pocket, looked at it for the last time. I'm going to keep this in a special box, at home, not on my finger, because you're right, I need to make space, for new memories, new tattoos on the soul. She kissed the ring, put it away, and felt lightness. As if a weight she had been carrying for 5 years finally lifted. I love you, I will always love you, but I can't live in the past with you. I need to live in the present, for me, for you, because I know that's what you'd want. She stayed another 20 minutes, talking, crying, laughing at old memories, and when she left she felt different, not healed. Healing would take time, but beginning. 3 months later, Beatrice was in a bookstore buying materials for class when she bumped into someone. Literally, knocked over a pile of books the man was carrying. Sorry, I'm so sorry, she said, crouching to help pick them up. No problem. I wasn't looking either. She looked up and saw a man of about 30, early 30s, Glasses, beard, gentle smile. A pile of books about architecture. You're an architect, she asked, pointing to the books. I am, you too. No, literature professor, but I've always admired architecture. There's something poetic about building spaces. There is, exactly. Architecture is poetry in 3 dimensions. They talked for 15 minutes right there, in the middle of the bookstore, blocking the aisle. About books, about art, about how literature and architecture were sisters, both about building worlds. My name is Daniel, he finally said. Beatrice, but you can call me Bea. B, beautiful. Look, I know we just met, but would you like to get coffee? Now? I promise not to knock over more books. She hesitated. First time since Luke she felt something, not love, but interest, curiosity. Coffee would be nice. They went to a nearby coffee shop, talked for 2 hours. Daniel was divorced. No kids. His marriage had ended 3 years ago. We fell in love young, grew in different directions. It was amicable. Sad, but amicable. And you? He asked. Married? Girlfriend? Beatrice took a deep breath. Moment of truth. A widow. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. It's okay, it's been 5 years. My husband died in an accident. He was 25. My God, I'm so sorry. Thank you, it was. Difficult, it still is sometimes. But I'm learning to live again. That's courageous. To lose someone like that and still have the courage to move forward. I don't have a choice. Either I live or I just exist. And existence is a waste. They exchanged numbers, started to meet. Coffees, dinners, walks. And Beatrice discovered she could like someone without feeling guilty, could laugh without feeling like she was betraying Luke, could imagine a future without feeling like she was erasing the past. 6 months after meeting Daniel, he took her to a project he was working on, a school in an underserved community. It's pro bono, he explained. I'm not getting paid, but it's purpose, you know, building something that really matters. Beatrice looked at the blueprint, at the careful design that maximized light, space, safety on a minimal budget. It's beautiful. It's exactly what Luke would have done. Luke, my husband, he always talked about making a difference, about using your talents for the greater good. You remind me of him, not in looks, but in essence. Is that good or bad? Good. Very good. Because it means my heart recognizes goodness, recognizes character, and chooses it again. Daniel held her hand. First time he touched her beyond casual hugs. B, can I ask you a question? Of course. Are you really ready for something new, or are you still processing? I'm processing. I probably always will be. Grief doesn't have an expiration date, but I'm also ready. Ready to let someone new in, someone like you. They kissed. Beatrice's first kiss in 6 years. It was strange, different, it wasn't Luke. But it was also good, it was real, it was a new chapter. 1 year after meeting Daniel on the following Christmas, they were having dinner at Beatrice's apartment when he asked a question. It's been a year, and I love you, deeply. I know about your past. I know about Luke, and I'm not trying to replace him, but I want to build something new with you, something of our own. Beatrice felt her heart race. What are you asking? I'm not proposing marriage yet. I learned from Philip's mistake. A surprise public proposal isn't your style, but I'm asking, do you see a future with me? Really see it? I do. It scares me. Because the last time I built a future with someone, it was stolen, but I can't live afraid of losing. I need to have the courage to gain. Then let's gain. Together. In our own time. In our own way. 2 years after meeting Daniel, they married. A small ceremony. Intimate. Just family and close friends. Beatrice wore a simple dress and 2 wedding bands, a new one from Daniel and the old one on a chain around her neck. Is this okay? She asked, showing him before the ceremony. It's perfect. It's part of who you are, and I love who you are, all of you, past included. During the vows, Beatrice said, Daniel, you are not my first love, and I won't lie and say you are. Luke was first, and part of me will always love him, but you are my present love, my chosen love, a love I built consciously, knowing what it means to love. And that makes it more special. Because it's not the innocent love of youth. It's the mature love of someone who knows loss and chooses to love anyway. Daniel responded, B, I honor Luke. I honor his memory. I honor the love you shared. Because that love made you who you are. and who you are is the woman I love. So thank you, Luke, for loving her first, for showing her she deserves love. I will keep proving that. Every day. There wasn't a dry eye. 3 years after marrying Daniel, Beatrice returned to Luke's gravesite, now on a regular basis, brought flowers, talked, told him about her life. So, it's weird, but I feel like you're happy for me. I know it sounds crazy, but I feel it. And Daniel is amazing. He's not you. He'll never be. But he's not trying to be. He's being himself. And I love him. Differently, but real. The wind blew, rustling the trees. And Beatrice swore it was Luke saying, "That's what I wanted, exactly that." 5 years after rejecting Philip's proposal, Beatrice was at an event for the school Daniel built. The inauguration. Children running, laughing, marveling at the beautiful, functional space. And she saw him, saw Philip across the courtyard, with a woman beside him, pregnant. He saw her too, hesitated, then came over. "Hi, B. Hi, Philip. How are you?" "Good, really good. This is my wife, Marina. We married last year." Marina smiled, radiant. "Nice to meet you. Philip told me about you, about everything. Everything, and look, I hold no resentment. You did the right thing, the honest thing, the hard thing," Philip added, "and it forced me to grow. To understand that an elaborate proposal isn't the same as a real relationship. Marina and I, we built something real, from scratch, without pressure, without rushing. I'm happy for you, for both of you. And you, still, married 3 years ago, that's my husband over there." She pointed to Daniel, who was talking with the school principal. "The architect? Who designed this? Yes, he is. He is special. He seems it. And you seem happy, truly happy." "I am. It took time, therapy, many tears, but I am." They talked another 15 minutes. No resentment, no tension, just two adults who had grown up, who had learned, who had taken different paths but found happiness. 10 years after Luke's death, Beatrice was organizing her things when she found an old box. Inside, photos, letters, and the ring, the silver ring she wore for 5 years as a prison, that she kept for another 5 as a memory. Daniel came in. "What did you find?" "Luke's ring. Haven't looked at it in a long time." He sat beside her. "Do you miss him?" "Him? Always. But it doesn't hurt like it used to. Now it's sweet longing. A good memory. Not sharp pain. That's healing. Real healing. It is. And you were part of that healing. Thank you. No need to thank me. I love you. Healed, broken, in between. I love you." Beatrice put the box away carefully. "I'll pass this on to our children. One day, when we have them, I'll tell them about Luke, about first love, about loss, and about how love doesn't die, it just transforms. They'll be lucky to have such a wise mother. I'm not wise, just learned the hard way." 15 years after Luke's death, Beatrice published a book, a memoir about love, loss, healing, new beginnings. She called it Tattoos on the Soul, a reference to Luke's letter. At the launch, room full, she read an excerpt. "I have loved deeply twice in my life, completely, and both loves were different. The first was love of discovery, innocent, new, perfect until it was destroyed. The second was love of choice, conscious, mature, built on a foundation of loss and understanding. I cannot compare them. They are incomparable. Luke was my first love. Daniel is my eternal love, and both fit in my heart, because the heart is not a finite space, it's an expanding universe. To those who have lost and are afraid to love again, don't be. New love doesn't erase old love. It adds. It expands. It completes. And to those who love someone who has lost, be patient. Don't compete with a ghost. Ghosts cannot be defeated. They can only be integrated, respected, honored. Luke, wherever you are, thank you for loving me, for giving me permission to be happy, for understanding that your love didn't need to imprison me. It could set me free. And Daniel, thank you for waiting, for understanding, for loving not an edited version of me, but the complete version, with scars, memories, and all. The book became a bestseller. Thousands of widows and widowers wrote saying they saw themselves in the story, that they felt seen, understood, and Beatrice used the book money to create a foundation, support for young widows, because she knew no one should go through that pain alone. 20 years after Luke's death, Beatrice was 44. She had 2 children with Daniel, an established career as a writer and professor, a full life, and on the anniversary of Luke's death, she went to the gravesite as she did every year. But this time, she brought Daniel and the children. "Kids," she said, this is Luke, my first husband, whom I loved very much, and who is part of our family story." Luke Jr., 8 years old, named in his honor, asked, "Mommy, are you still sad?" "Sometimes, but more wistful than sad. Longing is different. Daddy doesn't get jealous." Daniel answered, "No, because Mom's love for Luke doesn't diminish her love for me. They're different and both real." Maria, 6 years old, placed the flowers she brought. "Luke, thank you for loving Mommy, for making her happy, and for letting her be happy again." Beatrice cried, but a good cry, a cry of gratitude, for having had Luke, for having Daniel, for having a beautiful family, for having survived, more than survived, thrived. 20 years, she whispered to the headstone when the children ran off to play, and Daniel went after them. 20 years without you, and you know what I learned? That you were right about everything. Love is not finite, memories don't erase, and happiness is possible, even after devastating loss. I have a family now, children, a husband I love, a career, purpose, everything you wanted for me, and I carry you with me, not as a weight, but as a gift, as the first lesson about love, as the foundation on which I built everything else. Thank you for loving me, for letting me go, for writing that letter that saved me when I was drowning in grief. Rest in peace knowing I fulfilled your last wish. I lived, truly lived. The sun shone through the clouds at that moment, and Beatrice smiled, because she knew with absolute certainty that Luke was happy, that he was at peace, that he was watching and approving. And when she returned home with her family, with children's laughter filling the car, with Daniel's hand in hers, Beatrice thought, this is what he wanted. Not for me to forget, but for me to live, for me to love again, for me to be happy. And I am. Finally, completely I am. And the silver ring? Still kept in a special box, not on her finger, but in her heart, where happy memories live. Where first love never dies, it just transforms into the foundation for all future loves. Because in the end, it wasn't about choosing between Luke and Daniel. It was about understanding that the human heart has infinite capacity, and that loving again is not betrayal. It is honor. It is legacy. It is living so completely that death doesn't win. And Beatrice won, not over death, but over the fear of living after death, and that, she discovered, was the true victory. Comment below, "Love doesn't die," so I know you made it to the end of this video, and I'll mark your comment with a special heart. And if Beatrice's story moved you, I have another even more surprising one to share with you. Just click on the video that's appearing on your screen now and I'll tell you everything. A big hug, and see you next time for another emotional story. Bye-bye.